What's up, guys? It's not often that I join using my Apple AirPods. This is episode filming, guys.
194.
Thank you.
Is that right? Wait, am I right, Ben? Yeah.
Yes, 194.
Wow, I'm prepared tonight. Honestly, guys, this has never happened to me, but I almost missed out on a business trip that I had scheduled. And I realized it last night. So I'm in a different state right now and was able to make it in for this. But this is episode is presented by Disc Golf 978. They're killing it out there. We talk about them every single week. And I know you think every time I say I mean this, that I'm just getting paid to say this and I don't really care. But that's not true. And I hope it translates that, like, the genuine feeling we have for what they're doing in the sport. As big as they want to take it, they can go. They've got great players they're sponsoring, their quality products, the pricing, the support for tournaments, the way that they do it, the community that they've grown. And now they're in a sweet pro shop in Massachusetts. Evan, remind me, it's not Sterling? Is it Princeton? Where is that?
No, it is Sterling, Massachusetts.
Oh, it is Sterling.
Sure is.
Epic. I mean, I know this isn't totally them, but like at the Meadowbrook Orchard, right? Like literally their pro shop is next to a great breakfast, one of the great breakfasts in the area. Get it in before you round, get lunch after. Like they offer so much. If you're local, that's great. If you're remote distance away around the world, you can order and get the rock bottom prices using the code. We love 978. And besides that, I just saw on the screen, one of my other favorite things that they're doing, it's not totally, I don't know how they would say it. Disc Golf 978. Ben, do you know how they would say it for their clothing? It's first available, like their clothing.
First available printing.
Division, if you will. Yeah, but it's like a division of them. I should have asked that. I know it's under Disc Golf 978. It's the same people.
Division, yeah. So if you need any shirts direct to film, printed, and they're starting to look into getting a kind of sticker machine. I think they were taught to say it was like UV machine. So really anything if you're local and need it, or I'm pretty sure if you're not local, you can still support them and they'll make it up for you and ship.
Yes, they will. And I'm honestly blown away by the quality. Anyways, I could go on, and I have, but it's because we actually believe in what they're doing. It's great to see what they're doing. They're in our neck of the woods. So awesome. Thank you, Disc Golf 978. Be sure to check them out. They'll be on screen the whole show. Tonight
I can't wait till 784 episodes from now. You know why?
978.
It'll be episode 978. So there you go.
Oh, so far away. With my audio quality being through AirPods, I'll probably let this is the funny joke. Then I'll let you guys do more talking. But we do have Rebecca Cox lined up, and if you follow disc golf, casually, you might be a little curious why we lined her up. You'll see she had a great weekend and she finished podium, and that's obviously fantastic in a very tough field for FPO. But if you're following at any more detailed level, you'll see that she is having the best, we'll call it, because we do this on the show, the pop-off season of any FPO player, averaging far above what she's been doing in the previous season. And we're curious to interview her and congratulate her on her finish. So she'll be on about 25 minutes from now. And we got a lot more to talk about. Before we get into Evan's recap, does anybody have anything they'd like to fill us in on? How's it going? What's been going on? Are we good to go? What do you want?
No, well, I mean, we're mostly good to go. Just acknowledge, you can tell we're heading into the early summer months, between work travel, family vacation. Ben, you and Nick held down the fort last week. I checked out the show. How you going to kick us all off and try to run away with this thing, or what? How was it?
Yeah. Actually, someone did comment that they said no more brothers, just Nick and Ben. So I think that's what we're going to end up doing. Sorry guys, executive decision. I have the no. It was fun.
Have fun with that. Have fun with that. I'll see you later.
Yeah. No, it was fun, and it was kind of nice to see Nick kind of leading again because he's been so busy with Olympus and all that. So it was kind of nice to see kind of that old flash of like what the Nick and Matt show was, just two guys just chatting up. But yeah, it was fun, and I think we did a good job and held it down.
Yeah, nice work. Well, I peeked in at the show live, Matt and I, again, on family vacation. We didn't hang out together the whole time, but a lot of us were there. And I said, it looks like the show is live. And we did not sit there and watch the whole thing live. So nice job.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was fun. Yeah, it was just.
And where's Nick tonight?
Scotland.
No idea. Oh yeah, that's why. I was like, why is Nick here?
Bagpipes.
Yeah, so it's probably like, I don't know exactly, so I'm estimating. Is it like midnight or 1 a.m. or something? Probably the next day. It's got to be close to that.
5 hours, I think, right?
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if
he's up. He's
partying at his
Guinness
favorite castle. I've been seeing
pub.
his pictures he's posting. He's in awe of the European scene.
He loves
good for him.
Dude, the Potter
yeah, the Harry Potter tour, whatever.
Highlighted. That was sick.
I saw him say like he just tried to walk everywhere in the city. I'm like, that's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, we just got to convince Paul Macbeth and Dylan Cease to open a course out there for Nick to work at. Olympus 2.0.
All right. That's cool catching up. This show is really able to shift and adapt. And that's what we've become. That was part of the plan with 5 of us, was that the ability of 3 of us bail out last week. We still had a show. And then we hope that, the same thing Nick said. It's just, we've made it what it is now, and we try to keep doing things better or different. But Evan, the Preserve Championship and other events happen, but I watched the Preserve. I'm sure you got some cool stats for us. So before we get into our pop drop lock picks later, let's go ahead and hear the review of Preserve or whatever you got.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a thrilling event in both divisions. Absolutely. We'll start with MPO. Mr. Richard Wysocki. I feel formal saying his name like Richard Wysocki, but that's how he writes it down, so I'm going to call him that. But Mr. Richard Wysocki gets the win at the Preserve Championship. It's his 3rd time winning this event, the 3rd time in 4 years winning this event, and now back-to-back, also winning it in 2021, but then now 2023 and 2024. He has had quite the run at this paradise of disc golf. It's definitely a birdie fest, but that's the name of the game. It's get as many birdies as you can and beat the other people. He now has 14 consecutive years with a major or elite series victory. This is his first of such this year. So this is where the 14 now happens, which is a record in history in MPO. No one's been longer. Although it is to be noted that Paul Macbeth currently is at 13 consecutive years, and he could still turn that to 14 this year. Although obviously it didn't happen this week. He missed cash. He was 1 place out of making cash, but now it's 4 missed cashes on the season for Paul Macbeth, which is the more missed cashes than he had from 2011 to 2023 at major and elite series events. He's had more just this year than he's had in that stretch. But not to talk about Paul Macbeth, because Mr. Richard Wysocki won this weekend. He just looked fantastic. He had the putt down from everywhere. And then hole 17, he's neck and neck with a few other competitors: Kyle Klein, Isaac Robinson, Matt Oram was shooting from the chase card. He piers hole 17 and gets the tap in and gets to kind of choose his own fate into the Eagle 18. So, Josh, I'm going to throw it over to you. Wysocki gets this win. He's maybe the king of the Preserve. 14 straight years with a major and elite series win. Any of that you take out of, or what do you see from Ricky's win?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't start by a comment about myself, but several of us picked him to win. And the only reason I start with that is because, this event is Ricky's event. And so, I think maybe you even said this, and if I missed it, sorry for recapping it, but this event's only been live for 5 years, I think. And he's won 3 of them. I know you mentioned that part, but that's pretty incredible. I think, Ricky does seem like the type who always latches on to different things. His favorite word, momentum, in the past, but being a course and an event that he's performed at, I'm sure in some ways he felt the pressure. It looked like that last round he was feeling the pressure. And I don't know if it's the pressure, just frustration, because it seemed like it was slipping away from him. And classic Ricky, it's just all emotion, meaning during the round, it's so intense, right? Game face, nothing egregious, but slapping the ground, just frustrated. And then when he gets the win, I mean, how happy is Ricky? And I know I'm just providing like editorial commentary on what we all saw on the screen, but literally like the biggest smile, all the goofiness comes out. And I mean that in the best sense, because he's just so happy in the relief. And people have talked about Ricky having a sneaky good season. And, once you get a win, you can't say sneaky anymore. And really, I think in the Pro Tour points, is he second or third? Maybe second. And so Ricky's having a really good year and capping off, the 14-year win streak, if that's how you say it. I think he's playing great.
Josh, you just said some people are saying that. I felt like you were reading my text message. Maybe I sent it to you instead, but we were trying to get Ricky lined up. He's obviously, I don't want to say obvious, but he's unavailable. He's traveling to Europe all day. He responded and said he'd love to come on. It's just not going to work out with all his travel. And I had texted him that. I said, Rick, you are having a sneaky good season, but a win like this makes it less sneaky or not sneaky at all. Like that was pretty much what I said. So I agree. I think people were seeing that. I think Ricky even felt that storyline about himself because he knew he was playing well. But without a win, it feels kind of sneaky. And to get the win now, he's solidified, I think, easily second best player. Maybe I say easily. It's crazy. It's crazy place right now. Keep going, Evan.
Yeah, that's a tough statement to maybe back
up.
I
had to stop.
Sure, he's second in disc golf Pro Tour points. He is starting to close the gap on Gannon Burr, who still has a almost 90-point lead now over Wysocki. And Antala's in third place. I mean, he's getting a few extra bonus points from the Europe Elite Series events, but obviously playing incredibly well, winning in North America and getting plenty of points there as well. So it's not to discredit that. And then Anthony Brella with 3 wins sits in fourth place. And then Calvin Heimberg with 2 wins sits in fifth place. So it is quite the battle going down in both Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. We'll get to the FBO standings in just a second. But first, just want to mention, Kyle Klein, Matt Orm, and Isaac Robinson round out your podium. Klein was in second. The other two were tied for third. All had chances to win, but not quite. But then want to jump to Luke Taylor, who finished tied for fifth, which is his best major or Elite Series finish of his MPO career. And he now has 3 straight top 10s at such events, which are all 3 of his best finishes at these events of his career. Really incredible for him rising up. He was in the Disc Golf Pro Tour Rookie of the Year battle last year. It's on me, but I always forget who came out with the victory in that title. I should have it handy, but he was definitely one of the 3 contenders. And then tied for 8th was Garrett Gerthy with his best finish of his career. Want to note that out because if you picked him for your pop pick, that sure is
Wait a second. Pick. You think I might be more in tune with this? That was his best finish on an Elite or pro of his or major of his career?
Luke Taylor, yes.
Oh, I thought you said Garrett Gerthy. I was about to lose my mind. I'm like, he got like a second at
no. I don't know if I misspoke there. Best of the season is what it is for Gerthy, but best of the career for Luke Taylor.
Okay, cool.
Tied for 5th.
I'm like, something's not lining up. Something's not lining up here. I'm like, anyways, good.
Absolutely. Garrett Gerthy, he has a national tour victory, I believe, Masters Cup.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, something I'm missing, some part of the stat.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. Just in 2024 for Garrett Gerthy, getting a top 10 finish. Congrats to him. And then Simon Lizotte finishes tied for 14th, coming back from, paternity leave. I don't know if that's the right way to call it, but his first event back on the Disc Golf Pro Tour since the Music City Open back in April. So quality top 20 finish. So any other takeaways? Matt, I'll go to you. Any other takeaways on the MPO leaderboard, or you can go back to Wysocki if you feel like it.
Nope. Anthony Barella getting a top 10, I think, says something. I know his wins at the beginning of the season really made a statement, but there's just been this weird, what happened to Anthony? And now to have a top 10, I think, puts him back in that, okay, let's see top 10s for a little bit on the way out and maybe a solid podium. And I think, everything's back to normal. And then Kyle Klein, he now, to me, has taken that sneaky good season that Rick has lined up. Now Rick has the win. I think Kyle Klein is that player who's having an incredibly sneaky good season. Other than that, I'm going to let you take it over to FPO, I'm guessing.
Yeah, great point on Kyle Klein. He has the most top 10s from major and elite events this year without a win at 7.
Yeah.
That is the sixth most, and the only players with more all have won, which obviously includes Ricky Wysocki doing this past weekend. But yeah, incredibly exciting in FPO as well. Missy Gannon gets her third win of the season for Major Elite Series events, which is the most in a single season for her. She's putting together quite the year, and we're just about halfway through. So incredible to see for Missy Gannon. It was a tight finish with Holland Hanley. They were kind of, you could call it a 2-horse race. They were kind of breaking off from the rest of the field into their own battle. Missy Gannon entered the final round with a 2-stroke lead and then comes out with the win. So that now makes it 6 for 6. 100% success rate for Missy Gannon when she is leading into the final round of a standard major or elite series event. And that's outright or tied leading. So she has done an incredible job. If she has the lead, at least a slice of it to lock it down and get that victory. That's amazing. 6 times. Out of 6. So, Ben, I know you were playing a tournament this week, and we can talk about that too. But I want to know if you have any thoughts on Missy Gannon getting a win and getting her third of the season.
Yeah, my thoughts are obviously Missy's always been a killer in the sport. She's always done well. I know there's a time where she won the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championship at the end and won Player of the Year, and people were like, kind of like, that's recency bias, whatever. But now I think she's proving that, no, like, I'm here to stay. I'm one of the top elite players. And to have 3 Elite Series wins on either side is not easy at all. So I think it's awesome, and I think she's like really living up to the name of Big Money Missy. And down the stretch, she kept it cool. I mean, it seemed like Holland kind of was starting to leak some strokes, and she just kept it cool and kept her foot on the gas and came out on top.
Interesting enough, now that Missy has 3 wins, no player in FBO has 2 major or elite wins this season. We have Owen Scoggins, not Owen Scoggins and Holland Hanley. They each have 1. We have Missy Gannon, Evelina Salonen, and Kristen Tatar, who each have 3 Elite Series and major wins this season. And then no one has 2, and then we got to jump down to 1, where Owen Scoggins, Holland Hanley, Ella Hansen, Silva Sarnen, Annika Sten, Paige Pierce, they all have wins, which is incredible to see. In second place, Holland Hanley is on a killer streak. It's her 4th straight podium and 10th straight top 10 for her. She, of course, had the chance of the win fresh off of her Beaver State victory, and feels like we're seeing a new Holland right now. That is scary. Scary for the rest of the field, that is. But she ultimately finishes in second place here. In third place, Rebecca Cox, we'll hear from her just in a little bit. She gets a podium, which is her first major Elite Series podium since 2021. She now has 7 top 10s on this year, which, listen to this, is a career high in recent memory from her. The last time she had more than 7 top 10s in a season was back in 2019 when she had 13. Since then, her best was 6. And last year, she only had 2 top 10s. There are lots of metrics we can use for Rebecca Cox to say how much better of a season is. Just a few right here is, average round rating this year of 967. Last year was 937. She's a full 30 points better this season in average round rating in major and elite series events. Her birdie average is up a full birdie per round. Every single round she's getting an additional birdie, which doesn't sound like much in one way, but also that's a lot. That's a very good number to go up a full birdie. And then average place. She's under 10th place, averaging under a 10th place finish now, 9.5. Last year she was 24. And Matt, you said earlier that she's the pop player of the year so far. Any metric you use, she is definitely popping off and having a career resurgence. And then one more name to talk about, also a resurgence, is Kona Star Montgomery, who finished in 9th place. That's her first top 10 since 2022 at the True Bank Des Moines Challenge, which is interesting enough is the next North American Disc Golf Pro Tour stop. So maybe some good momentum for Kona heading into the next event. Can
I offer one thought on Rebecca Cox? You said 1 more birdie per round average type deal. I would have to believe that she's also averaging less bogeys per round. Because for that rating difference, it just seems to me that she's probably, and I didn't look this up, what is that? 3 strokes, 4 strokes better, somewhere in that range where like you get 1 birdie, but you're limiting your mistakes. So yeah, congrats to her. excited to have her on here a little bit. Actually, really excited about that. So.
Yeah, her bogeys are actually. I mislooked at this earlier, but they're also down well over 1 per round, more like 1.3, which again, like 1 is a huge number in this category. When you're averaging, just under 5 birdies per round, birdies are better. Going up 1 means a lot. I mean, for any of us, like, I don't know. I just think that's a great number. So she's limiting the bogeys by over 1, getting the birdies up by over 1. I mean, just a single birdie,
2 strokes per round on average.
No, three strokes. If it's over 1, it could be 3, right?
Yeah,
it's just over
2 to 3.
Yeah, and I mean, luckily I have that too. Her average score per round is under par at around 0.5 under par per round, a half a stroke under par.
Hopefully she knows why.
Last year she was over 3, but of course that's very course dependent. I mean, same with birdies and bogeys, but I feel like score especially, it feels very course dependent for me. But of course, again, a little bit more standardized, so I think going 3.5 strokes better per round is quite a good number.
I was just going to say, with pop, drop, lock and all that, like, we play this game and she's someone that in the beginning you'd watch her pop off and you're like, oh, that's cool. I don't feel comfortable enough to pick her again to like whatever. And then like she does it again and you're like, this is not going to be that trend. I'm going to actually pick her to drop. And then she pops again and you're like, man, she's not dropping. So long story short is, at this point, you have to believe like she is the real deal with what she's doing, and you should be comfortable to pick her for performing well. So
yeah, and to round out the recap, just want to quickly touch on the Disc Golf Pro Tour standings. I mean, in FPO, it's becoming, I'm going to call it a tale of 2 cards. I don't know how best to put this. I'm going to just say it. But in the first 3 spots, we have Owen Scoggins, Holland Hanley, and Missy Gannon. Their points are 1,022. I'm rounding to the near, rounding down. 1,022, 1,015, 1,015. That is incredibly close this late in the season. That Owen Scoggins has a 7-point lead, and then Holland Hanley and Missy Gannon are tied when I'm rounding. Holland Hanley has a slight advantage. And then Evelina Salinen's in 4th at 963, but she's over in Europe, so she's pretty much alternating which weeks she gets points compared to the other players I mentioned. And so you best believe at this Swedish Open, I believe this weekend, that Evelina Salinen's going to get a chunk of those points, if not leap past them and become first place again. But then we have a next card, I'm calling it, of Ella Hansen, Kristen Tatar, Rebecca Cox, and Natalie Ryan, which one of those names, Kristen Tatar, you're going to assume once she gets back to playing is going to pop up to that first group I named. I mean, Ella Hansen's playing the Swedish Open this weekend as well, so also could get points. But then Rebecca Cox is right in that grouping. I mean, also Natalie Ryan, who's having a great season. They're kind of the clear next group before you get to the rest of the players who are all in the 600s or the 500s in points. So that's like another point of emphasis on just how good this season's happening, that she's in this clear top 8 players in points this season.
All right. That's good. That's good stuff. We talked about her a lot, but I think she deserves it. And that's why we're also giving her the interview. I would also say that we're going to get into pop, drop, lock review as far as points go, but I never updated the points. I don't know if anyone else did. If they didn't, someone just pull up the website and we'll just read them off. So.
It all depends. Are we doing it right now? Because I can update it simultaneously, but that would take a few minutes. Or we can just go through it. I have this point spreadsheet in front of me.
Yeah, if you got the points, we'll just go with the points. So pop, drop, lock.
Got the points.
Oh, we got our picks up there already. Sweet.
What?
Oh, that's fine.
Why are the picks
because you
change
you hit the it's okay. You hit the Stream Deck button that is not the music intro. It's just like the game scene or something. It's all good.
Oh, that's the wrong.
Yep, now it's happening. It's all good.
I'm gonna bob my head. What? Hat switch time.
Hey.
Okay, but the points haven't been updated, but now we cleared the picks. All good. So, Josh, just give us the picks, worst to best, and we'll go from there. And maybe you can give us an update.
This was specifically for Turku. Turku. Yes. All right. Let's see. I don't have them sorted in order, but I can do that like super, super quick because we know Ben didn't get a lot of points, I don't think.
What? Oh wait, this was the preserve.
Oh.
So we said
Yeah,
Turku.
They did Turku last week.
I just recapped the preserve for almost 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You had me fooled.
What show
went with
are
it
we
too.
on now?
Yeah, I know Ben and Nick covered Pop Top Lock points for the preserve.
Yes.
Their picks. I don't know if
this
they
is
did a
because
recap and
I
we
was
had to do
away
that.
from my desk last week, so I was updating my spreadsheet going all the way back. So no real excuses.
Ben, did you
except that.
tell everybody you got like horrible points last week and you want to change the
negative
rules?
32. Yes. I was
okay.
I was a little sad that it was rating based and I did so bad, but hey, it's rating based again, and now I have a better game plan
coming into this next week. All right, we can walk through the preserve. That event in Minnesota.
I know we're. Oh, actually,
go ahead.
walk through it first. Sorry. Then I have a comment. Okay. Sorry, my bad.
Nick wowed us all with minus 11 points. 141st place out of 161. So that's kind of tough. And basically, I'm literally trying to look because my camera's blocking it. I was going to say why he got that much, but that's pretty bad. Anyway,
I said what because I know I'm pretty bad.
Yes, and Matt, you ended up with minus 3. So Nick minus 11, Matt minus 3.
That might be my first time minus. It might be. And Nick and I typically make very similar picks.
Well, Hebenheimer hurt you. Nick was just like rough across the board, small numbers, and Hebenheimer lost you 23 points. So
okay.
Which in that when I say lost it, you picked him for your drop. So he showed you a thing or two. Yeah.
Yeah. I love when they do that.
All right. Okay. So then way up the board is myself with 37 points, which is okay. Simon Lizotte, Kyle Klein, I picked a drop and he almost won. So congrats to him. But I did pick Ricky. And then further up the board, we have Evan. So I guess Ben's probably already smirking. Evan, good job. Double G.
Evan not using my draw picks, by the way. So
yeah, good week to switch, right? Yeah. Now Garrett Gerthy and Mr. Richard Wysocki getting me a lot of points, but I went all in on Paige Pearson. Oh no,
I did too.
Yeah, FPO lost you 11 points, and you still finished with 52. So there you go.
I'll take it.
And then literally, Ben, it was all, so first of all, I'm going to just give you kudos and say it's kind of epic, but it was almost completely epic because for Turku, you were dead last, literally, right? Like the bottom of the board.
Not just of the crew, like the
entire
game.
Literally dead last, so I'm going to keep reminding you of that because you came in second place from everybody, not just our crew. So like imagine if Ben went from bottom to top and you almost did.
Yeah, worst to first, but not quite.
Yeah, so 99 points, Ben, which is pretty sweet. And obviously Drew Gibson, who you've been picking, paid off. And then, as you said, Kona, when you were cheering to Evan's stats review. So incredible. Because I'm catching up on the spreadsheet after being away from my desk, I don't have the running points from the preserve yet. Okay. So you're going to have to wait to get it.
I would hope I'm still in the lead, but that's a big swing. Ben's
you'll be in the
back
lead.
up.
No, you'll be in the lead.
If I basically just gained 30 points on you because of last week's rating based one.
Yes, but that is first and second place. And before this event, Ben, you were 174 points behind Matt. So like you didn't catch him yet, but you're trimming away at it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is I gained like 30 on him. It's even though it looks like I gained whatever 99 or whatever this week, I really didn't.
All right, I can tell we've got a guest in there, Ben. Does it look like she's ready? Or am I just imagining
things? She looks ready. Let's
Josh is taking the lead to start this, so let's go.
Right. What?
You got to hit the other guest.
There we are.
And it jumped up on me, but Josh is taking the lead. Rebecca, you get to see everybody a little bit, but Josh, go ahead, take it away.
We're doing round robin on our production side. Rebecca, thank you for joining. Really happy to have you on the show here this evening. I hope you're doing well. I think we can. The rest of the crew speak up if the audio's off. But so, Rebecca, congrats on a great weekend. Third place at the Preserve. You probably know this, but that's at least from my stats, that's your first podium finish since early 2021. And you've had some other good tournaments, but the first true podium. So let's just start simply. Tell us how it felt out there on the course this past weekend.
It's funny because this weekend I really felt like the calmest I've been the entire year. Like usually, at least for the first few holes, I feel nervous or anxious or, just that excitement you get on the first few holes. I really didn't feel that much at Preserve. I don't know if it was just like a different mindset or something, but I just felt so much more comfortable, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I saw you post that on your Instagram, and I think many of us are jealous. You're like, the putts felt smooth and the drives felt easy. Do you think, is it anything unique to the Preserve? We hear a lot of players just enjoy kind of the environment there, or was it just a matter of, for you, it just fell into place this particular weekend? Is there anything special about that course?
Actually, kinda. Preserve, I think, was the first DGPT event that I played where I fully incorporated my new run-up, like years and years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I just remember, because I really like the Preserve, and I like to play well, when I'm out there. And I remember when I finally switched my form, and I'm like, no matter what, like I'm committing to it fully. I'm not gonna, play one hole with my old run-up or anything like that. I'm not mixing. I'm just gonna completely commit to it. And I remember being so frustrated because I had no idea where it was going. I was throwing it really far. Like, I was seeing the distant results right away, but I was, like, so mad because it wasn't going anywhere. And it's just nice to, like, come back to this course and play well and, like, see how far I've come with my form and my run-up and everything, how it's improved my game so much. So, yeah.
Awesome. So I was going to specifically ask, and you brought it up. So yeah, what year was it that you really reworked your form? Because those of us who have followed disc golf and seen you on the tour since 2017, we remember kind of that cut. What year was that when you really kind of overhauled it in the off season? I think
it was 2020, because that's when we got like that big break from everything that was going on. And I just remember around that time, because with my old run-up, it was great and all, but I wasn't getting a ton of distance with it, and I got injured at the 2018 Worlds, and that really sucked because I was in the lead after the first round, and I just played through my injury for the rest of the tournament, and it was just like debilitating. And it got to the point where, because it was bicep tendonitis, so I got to the point where I'm like, I can't play a practice round without feeling that pain, so I had to like decide if I wanted to practice before a tournament, and I'm like, I can't tour like this. So 2020 was when I like really commit to the new form.
Yeah, well, it's so 2020 you committed to it. So here's a couple different stats. I think I put the caveat around it. We can ask Statmando to verify these, but the last 3 weeks have probably been your best 3-week stretch since 2019. If you look at average finishes, I think this year, actually Evan from Statmando, who's on the show with us here, I summarized these, but like year over year, I think your event ratings are 30 points higher. Like you have, for every single round, not just tournament, but you're averaging a full birdie per round more and a full bogey or less, right? So like you're coming like 2 to 3 per round, which is a pretty big swing. Your average placement this year is like 9.5 compared to last year, 24. So we just talked about your reworked form 4 years ago. Is there anything else that is different? Have you reworked any other aspects of your game? Maybe that's always a work in progress, but just curious your perspective on that, kind of that 4-year journey from resetting that and where you are.
Yeah, so after I changed my run-up and stuff, other parts of my game started to get a little squirrely just because I wasn't paying attention to it. All my focus was on my run-up or whatever. And then once that started to feel more comfortable, then my putt kind of fell apart. And unfortunately, like the putt and the mental game kind of go hand in hand. So they both deteriorated at the same time. So both of those, like pretty much every major part of my game I've worked on over the years, and most recently I think it's been like the mental game and just getting my mind right.
Yeah, so I just had some notes here and was going to come back, and if you didn't mention mindset, I was going to specifically ask about the mindset. So you've already affirmed that. Is like mindset is such an interesting dynamic thing, and so there could probably be 100 ways this could go, but I'm curious for you, is there anything in particular you're doing on purpose to help with your mindset, or is it more just a natural outflow of all your practice and your current situation? Or are you doing something that's trying to change the way you're thinking about the game?
I think it's probably a combination of both. I started touring when I was 20, so I spent my entire 20s on the road, and if you've ever been 20 before, it can kind of suck sometimes. So I think, I've gone through some hardships and tough times, and, when you got stuff, like personal stuff going on in your life, I think that can really bleed into your disc golf. So I don't know, I think it's just been learning more about myself and how my brain works, and like realizing that I'm like a really emotional person, so I have to work hard to make sure I'm not giving my emotions so much power over my game and overthinking too much. So it's like forcing myself to be positive, but at the same time it was getting myself to not think about things. Like Nathan Queen, after he won the Pro Tour Championships, I asked him, I'm like, man, I'm thinking about this and this when I play. Like, what do you do? He said, well, just don't think about that. I'm like, well, how do you not think?
Easy.
Like, I don't understand. So it's been just like learning how to not think, pretty much.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you sharing, and this is why I often ask these questions, because human thinking, right, is unique to all of us, and so to get so many different perspectives, like you said, the way you deal with your emotions, your own life situation, kind of your patterns, and hearing how you're working through that. And I think for some players, right, the mental game is actually a strength and it sets them apart, and for others it's a weakness, and kind of navigating that. What would you say? I mean, we got to see you on camera. What would you say at this point in your career? So here in 2024, as you said, you've kind of been on the road for a while. What is the biggest strength of your game now? Like, meaning drives, putts, or maybe mental or whatever. Like, where would you say, like, all right, this is where I feel most solid?
Oh, man.
Or does that change hole to hole?
I really feel like everything is just like I've been waiting for everything to get to the same level, and I really feel like that's where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm more well-rounded than I've ever been, so I don't know. I can't really say. Honestly, I think over the weekend, my drives were probably the best, so I'd say driving. Like I said, it just felt easy, and I don't know, I think I just have a lot of power now, so it's easier to navigate the course that way and be aggressive, and yeah.
No. Well, that's awesome. Again, many of us probably listening to the show or watching have followed your career, because many of us are hardcore disc golf for many years. So again, if these stats are not exactly right, I'm not sure. But yeah, you joined the tour in 2017, at least officially, like on tour. And you've played 104 events since then. And I'm only counting like elite and, majors. So like, that's a lot. Like, we use the term grind, right? And there are other players, but I think you're right in that top tier of consistently year in and year out. And this past weekend was, at least from my analysis, your largest payout of your career. And if we, again, look at even just the last 3 weeks, if you rolling, like, it's easily the largest 3-week window. When I say 3 weeks, I really mean 3 tournaments.
Yeah.
How does that, like, not asking about your finances, but how does winning like that, a combination, one, your performance is better and the tour has grown since 2017. How does that help you on tour? Does that change your mindset? Does it change kind of the vibe of what's happening out there when you maybe just get a little bit of relief by putting more cash on the board? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing. I think it's made it feel easier. Like, I'm not worried about my budget as much, or like, bills or whatever. Like, it's just nice to have that off of my shoulders more, and it just feels more comfortable. And yeah, I think like once you start to succeed more, the mental aspect of it, I don't want to say easier, but it comes more naturally because you're not thinking about as many things. So, yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I really feel like being successful on the tour and being like at peace and happy are like right at the same level. Like,
Yeah.
can't have one without the other.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. It's kind of the recipe for success.
Yeah, and it's funny. My dad actually just mentioned, because he's always on my stats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've made more right now than you have in any other season. And I really thought that was crazy because we're only like halfway through now. And yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Well, then you're no surprise he should, but that means your dad beat me to it because I had looked to him like, yeah, literally we're 11 events in and you're like $2,000 something. I don't actually have it in front of me, but like over your biggest year ever right now.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's interesting as again, we talked about your mental approach on the course, but you kind of mentioned like mental is more than just what's happening on the course. It's actually like your whole life, right? Like it's all part of it. And so it's just interesting how these things work together for sure. All right. So totally like first of all, I'm going to ask Matt or Ben if they have anything in just a moment. If they do, they can interject. Again, thank you for joining us, but I want to take it like a slightly left turn, maybe. Just like what's the most fun thing when anybody says the word most or top or favorite? Obviously, we don't really mean like favorite because that's impossible. What's the most fun thing you've done on tour this year? Like you said, halfway through. Like, is it on the course? Is it off the course? Just curious about the lifestyle. What for you? What might you put on that list?
Gosh, this year.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's not your favorite, you don't have to worry about a wrong answer. Just people are sometimes curious about like, are you literally just going event to event with no life outside of disc golf, or is anything else happening?
You know what? I think at Beaver State Fling, after one of my rounds, I decided, because I was camping at Milo at the course, so I didn't have anything else going on. So I remember after my round, I went to the river that's right there by the course.
Yep.
And I ran into a bunch of people like Anakin, Kimberly, like just a big group of people, Shelly May. And I remember, man, first of all, that river was cold, like ice bath cold. Yeah. And it was just fun having all these girls, like, encourage each other to get into this really cold river. Like, it's supposed to be good for your muscles or whatever. But I don't like that kind of stuff. But I went in there and we were just throwing, tossing the frisbee around and, just having a good time. And, yeah, it's kind of hard to, like, do extracurricular stuff when you're on the road. There's just so much going on. But, yeah, that was one of the times I was like, I don't know, really cool. Just how the community is and everything.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Sometimes it's fun for us to get little insights besides just like, hey, how'd that putt feel? So thank you. Are you heading to Europe at all? I think I saw your post about Des Moines, but like, are you heading to Europe at any point or not this year?
Well, I just qualified for it at Beaver actually, and I don't think I'll be going this year. I'm trying to save up for a new tour vehicle, and I'm just like prioritizing some stuff. But I like going to Europe. I wish I was going, but I don't think it's in the cards this year.
All right. Well, everybody has to make their decisions for sure. So thank you. So Matt or Ben, do you have anything that piqued your interest you want to follow up with Rebecca on?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, congrats, Rebecca. I was punching in stats. We play a game over here called Pop, Drop, Lock, and we try every week to pick players who are going to play above their average or below their average or just in it to win it. And I was following you week after week. I punch in every single tour player's like finishes, and I'm looking at them, and I have it telling me like who's doing the best, and like I'm like by far above any other FPO player. You're standing out this year. And we tried at the beginning of the season to pick who that player would be. I don't know if anybody picked you, and I don't mean that offensively, but like what we're seeing is awesome. And so when I saw you got third place here, I said, we have to line Rebecca up. This is her best season ever. And she's destroying the field as far as improvement over the previous year. So congrats on that. Super awesome. And listening to this interview, that Josh was just leading you through there. I'm here in a hotel on my work trip, and I'm just like intrigued, getting to know you better. We get to see you play out there, but just getting to hear the insights of everything that you were talking through. Thanks for that. I would like to go back just a little bit, and you talked about your form change. And I think that's because visually that's a lot of what we see. And now we're seeing the performance increase. I know we have often in here, shout out to Overthrow Disc Golf. They often jump in the chat and ask different questions related to maybe form or coaching. But where did you get your insight? I know you've been involved in disc golf forever, but where did you get your insight in how you were going to work on your form?
That's a really good question. Well, first of all, I was taught disc golf by my dad when I was 8 years old, way back in the day before, form things like form videos were on YouTube or anything like that. So there wasn't really that much development yet in the sport, at least not like to that level. So when I changed my form, I kind of talked to a few different pros. Like I remember talking to Greg Barsby about it a little bit, and he gave me a couple tips that helped just starting out and like hat merch and all that. And then just taking video of myself and watching that over and kind of seeing, like that was the first time I had ever really looked at form. Like I remember Paige Pierce saying something similar, like, I don't think about my form, I don't think about that. I remember that's how I felt too when I changed it. So that was like a completely new world to me. I didn't have any idea about reach back or opening my hips or the power pocket or like that was all a different language to me pretty much. Like I'm like, I just throw it. So when I changed my form, it was like really having to focus on and like break down all the different parts of what makes a good form what it is. And then I remember I went home and visited my dad, and that was after like I had a handful of tournaments with my new form. I had played D-Glow, and I remember I couldn't throw up or downhill. So that tournament was just like super frustrating because of all the elevation. I was just throwing it straight. And I remember I went home and my dad like took me out to this field and we threw a bunch of drives, and he's like pointing out all these things he sees because he's just like a natural coach, so he can just see what's wrong in the moment, which is great for me. And so we spent a lot of time on that, and what we developed from that was a lot closer to what I have now. So yeah, it was just like a combination of like having the privilege of being able to talk to touring pros who, throw far, and having that dad coach type of person who like knows my game better than anybody else.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I can remember, I want to say it stands out to me that it was Texas State. Was it last year? Maybe you were on a lead card at some point, but I remember being, and I don't want to use the word shocked, but I remember being like, wow, total throw, like transformation. It just stood out to me drastically. And it's excellent to hear you say that everything's feeling like it's rounding out and you're seeing the results. So I guess my last question, and then I can ask Ben if he has any. What would you have to say to anybody? Because you mentioned Paige, and others are like, I don't think about my form. But now you've gone through that process, and I don't know if you fully attribute it all to that like transformation of form. But like, what would you have to say to other players, and maybe not even at the pro level, but just like, there's value in it, or like where do you see that? Like, where do you see, like, should somebody like totally change? Like, would there be value for me? Like, I should go work on my transformation myself. Like, what is that like, and how do you recommend it?
Well, I think first of all, as a pro, there's always improvements to be made. Like you're never perfect. So I think it's always healthy to try and improve some part of your game, even if it's not something super big or any major part, like even little tiny parts of your game. But man, it really depends, because there are definitely some pros who have very unique run-ups and they get plenty of distance from it. You could name a handful of pros like Matty O just off the top of my head, or gosh, I can't think of anybody else.
Well, if I'm going FPO, and you don't have to comment on this, but like Cynthia Ricciotti, like super interesting run up. But like there are players, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, so there are definitely players who have their own thing and it works for them, and that's fine. Like I said, I changed my run up because of an injury, mostly. I don't think I ever would have changed my run up if I hadn't gotten injured at Worlds, and I hadn't gone through everything that I had gone through. So I'm kind of thankful that happened. But I would say it's worth it to at least understand your run up the way it is. Like, take some videos of it in slow motion, really watch yourself, see if there's anything that could use improvement. You don't have to start from square one. It can be like, oh, maybe I can get a little more reach back here, or maybe I can turn my hips a little bit more here. It can be something tiny, so you're not completely starting from scratch, which is very hard. But I would say it's definitely worth looking at.
Okay, it's worth in looking at your throw. I would agree with that, and I think that actually is very valuable advice, rather than just like everybody changing their form for the heck of it. I guess before I toss it over, and this is funny because the where disc golf's at now, and now you're playing this season really, really well. Can I ask like where you're at in like contract sponsorships? Like, is that like this is a contract year, or you're with somebody for more years, or like? Do you think sponsors are going to be looking at this season going, oh man, like we're going to pay her more? Like, where do you think that's at?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm on a 1-year contract with Latitude right now, but they have sponsored me for the past 7 years, and I really think, looking at this season, they'll definitely want to have me for at least another year. I would assume, and I wouldn't know about any other companies, but I think it's definitely a possibility. And
Yeah.
As long as I stay consistent.
Yeah. Well, you're doing fantastic. Ben, you want to say congratulations before we let her go?
Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting, but yeah, just congratulations on the season. We've been talking about it a lot. Kind of how you've been. I guess I said on my other podcast on that you're probably the front runner for me as comeback player of the year, and I hope you can keep performing well and get that award at the end of the season. So yeah, congratulations and keep it up.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Josh!
Nope, I think that's it. So, okay. Rebecca, thank you for joining us. Again, we give you all the accolades. Enjoy the rest of the season ahead of you. Obviously, wish you the best success, and clearly we're following along. So, thank you so much again for joining. Anything in particular you feel you need to add before we let you go?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Just thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And, yeah, anybody watching, just maybe if you have a little inkling you need to change something, I say go for it. Disc golf is a game of fun. If you're not having fun, then what the heck are you doing? So, thanks again just for having me. I really appreciate it, and yeah, I hope I keep it up this year.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. Hopefully your putts still feel smooth and your drives feel easy. So thank you so much, Rebecca. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
All right. That was awesome.
Keep on rocking in the free world and doot. Dude,
how often do we, a lot of great insights from Rebecca. Matt, you mentioned those. I thought that was, she was an excellent interview to have. But how often do we see this theme? And there will be zero surprise here. So like maybe it's an obvious statement, but that so many of these players, when things are kind of popping off well, how much they just, things seem easy. Their mindset seems clean and clear. And you can argue the chicken or the egg, probably, right? Like when things are going well, like it's easy to feel like you have a great mindset, but so many of them say, yeah, I was in a good space mentally on the course. And if you've worked on the skills as a foundation, when the mindset is strong, like we see great performance. I know maybe that's an obvious statement. We all know golf has a mental game, but good to hear from her perspective there.
Yeah, cool. I feel like it's an obvious statement, but it's a true statement that's like good to hear, Like it's good to hear someone say, because you're saying all that stuff and I'm like, oh yeah, obviously, but I wouldn't have picked it out on my own sometimes.
Yeah. You can just tell they just smile. They're like, yeah, it felt smooth. Like it was easy. They almost can't say, because it's just like, it just feels good. And like, how do you articulate that? And so many players, it's just like, that's it. It's like, yeah, I wasn't even thinking on the course in that last round. I mean, she didn't say that. I'm being generic, right? But like, it just flows and at a totally different level. So like, it's not an actual one-to-one comparison, but like, we've probably all felt that at some point. So imagine if our baseline skill set and practice was high enough, like, which is what they are. Mine's at a different level. But even at my level, when all of a sudden you have that day where you're like, yeah, I barely had to think. I stood up and threw a drive and it just was perfect.
That happened to me one time in the past 17 years. And it was at Maple Hill and it was my highest rated round ever. Like I'm not here to brag about my highest rated round ever, but I shot 100 and something points literally above my rating. It was like 1,022 or something. And I remember clear as day walking off being like everything, I didn't have to think about it and everything was just going straight, like hole 7 up the roadway. I remember that was the worst hole of my life. It still is. But I remember throwing and I just pured it. Like it was easy. Everything was easy. So I can only relate to it for one round of my life.
Yeah, and even in this case, like I think it's somewhere in between because it's probably not Rebecca's hottest round ever, but what's happening is you've put in the work. I mean, for her, it's like a multi-year, which this is true for most players, but she articulated it well. A multi-year effort from rebuilding her form to sticking with it, to life's ups and downs. She's grinding on the tour, putting in the work, revisiting her form. So you're doing all the things so the foundation's in place so that when the mental game is clicking, the foundation's there. Like you literally can draw from all of the work you've done, right? Because if you've done no work and the mental game is smooth, then like great, but like, you know, you're just going to go out there and have fun. But you can, if the foundation is there, you can go out there and have fun and score well. And we see that for lots of players, and Rebecca's doing it consistently. And when they can find that groove, you notice I asked a little bit about cash. Cash doesn't impact directly on course performance, but it does impact lifestyle, like a little bit of relief, maybe pressure. And I'm always just so curious about how it's a giant recipe of success. And it's just interesting to see how Rebecca's pulling it together right now.
I will say in wrapping this up, and maybe I'm not alone or maybe I am, that interview felt super genuinely like awesome, happy, like light. It just had the best feeling to it. So thank you for coming on, Rebecca, if you're still catching up on this, or if you never do. I hope everyone appreciated that. Transitioning to other topics, which by the way, you're going to have to help do. I don't have a multi-screen display studio, but I wanted to just mention Kevin Jones. I hate to say this, and it might be savage, but the only way we're talking about Kevin Jones right now is because he left Prodigy and went to Innova, and I feel like it was good to see he came out with the first round that was like decent, but like, I don't know. Is it going to change much for him? First of all, congrats to him on making a move. I think his life, he's got engaged recently. He's getting married. Well, no, this is happy music. So like, so that's good for him. But I do think.
No, I'm done.
I do think that there's still not going to be much to talk about for him. I don't know if that's a hot take. We'll just have to wait.
Didn't he play well this weekend though?
Yeah, well,
but I don't think discs are what's holding him back.
Finishing
I think
26th. Finishing 26th place, Ben, is probably,
one of his best, probably.
Season. But he only beat his player rating
best of the season.
Yeah, and he only beat his play rating by 2 points. By the way, I'm not saying it's a bad event. Like that's fine, but it's not like giant. I don't know. There's lots of different opinions out there. I heard Steve Dodge elaborate, and he kind of seemed to be drilling in a little bit on
you listen
Prodigy.
To Disc Golf Daily?
Yeah, which means I've heard you on there too. But
thank you. I appreciate it.
And, Ben has 4 podcasts.
3. Yeah, I'm on 3 now.
Growing up. But anyway, just saying there are different takes to be like, yeah, other players have left Prodigy, seeing what they're happening. Obviously, I mean, can you imagine swapping that fast mid-season? So I don't think this weekend tells you much about plastic at all. Like that would be crazy if it did. But it'll be interesting to see how it pans out over like the next like 3 or 4 events. How often do we see mid-season switches like this?
Never. In my opinion.
I heard other podcasts because yes.
When was the last one that did something like this? There was a mid-season somewhere.
There's been some who are unsponsored who gets picked up, and I think that's a little bit different. You might still be learning new disc, but totally switching your bag over.
And in what certainly seems to be what I would generically call like a legit real contract, like just lots of things in place that are like out mid-season. On the exterior, like when I say this, I really mean kind of the official legal implications. It seems amicable. Like it just feels like it's probably not truly amicable on the inside, which is why there was a separation. I mean, who knows, right? A little bit of speculation there, but it'll just, it'll just be interesting to see like how it plays out. It's just that in this era of disc golf, I'm talking the last 4 years, maybe since COVID, maybe you could say 5 years, a touch before that. I don't think we have many players breaking contract mid-season. Gannon Burr kind of tried, right? But like, it's just pretty intriguing to see how that plays out. And I don't know.
Yeah. I actually kind of feel like the change of scenery, kind of fresh plastic, throwing new things, just like, breath of fresh air, lots of ways to say it. I think it'll be good for him. I think sometimes you can be in a funk, and, I don't know if he was in a funk or not, and in his mental game or whatever was going on. Which it looks like we lost Matt. We'll see if he gets him back.
He's back.
All right,
he's
back. And he's gone again. But you can you can get into a funk, and it's really hard to get out. I mean, it's like it's the bogey train. You can just get into it, and it's so hard to crawl yourself out. That sometimes something fresh, maybe a lucky kick on the course like that. I'm making different analogies, but that can help jumpstart your season to turn around. And I think with the numbers, Kevin Jones was clearly on a downtrend the last few years. He was a top player for a handful of years, and then has been slowly creeping down the leaderboard. And this year was not looking the best, a lot below his potential. And this could flip it around. Now, is he going to go pop off and win three events? Like, I think that'd be kind of outlandish. That would be wild, yeah. But I think it's going to be more of like, you're going to see more top 30 finishes. You're going to see him maybe make, some leader chase car is going to be on coverage more. And that's really what's important to sponsorships. So I think it's going to be an uptick. I don't know how much. That's really hard to say. I think there's I wish we could run more data on this all in due time. But I have a guess that, there's two things at play when switching manufacturers, switching brands, switching the discs you throw. One is you're learning new discs. You no longer have that trust. So that is a negative effect. But then you also have the positive effect of you're trying something new. You're trying fresh discs. If you were with one company for so long, you might not try a few discs because you tried it at once and just wasn't clicking, and you went to a different one that was similar, and that was just the one you used for a handful of years. So now you get to really try something new and go through the whole process. And that's a positive thing. Like, Kevin Jones is a disc golfer. We all like trying new discs. And sometimes as a professional, you can get into a funk where you're just throwing the same ones you're paid to do, and it's less fun. Now he gets to try new discs, and that's what's fun for disc golfers. And he's probably enjoying this right now. Outside of the contract portion is probably less fun to handle.
Yeah, and I imagine you just emphasized this maybe in a roundabout way, or at least to my point. Yours wasn't roundabout, but like it's more than just the money, because he's got to be. Is this true? He's got to be making less with Innova right now. I'm not saying long term, I don't know, but just like right now, mid-season, then he probably had a committed contract with Prodigy.
It's probably like not an endorsement. It's probably like, hey, we'll make you discs and things like that.
Yeah, or some kind of, some small cash that's just kind of a subsidy, right? Something, right? Where they want to be like, all right, you're in, but it's not like a signed, paid, big deal contract. So and again, I don't even know if that's true. I just mean I would speculate from the business side, like that's the way it's going to go down. So it's just like, is he setting himself up for a bigger picture? Like, is he with Innova next year? Well, I don't he chose to go with him now. Did he go with him now because they swooped in quick and said, we'll give you something to carry you through the year, and it worked for him? Or is he, setting himself up for? It's all speculation because we're also not hearing anything. Are you all hearing anything leaking from any camps? I'm surprised how quiet.
I haven't heard anything leaking at all. I just think I think it was an amicable thing. I kind of mentioned I think last episode how Kevin's like goodbye to Prodigy was a lot more just like, thanks Prodigy, but go buy my discs. And Prodigy's was more like, Kevin has been awesome. So it could be a thing where, you know, he wasn't performing and Prodigy said, you know, like, you got to perform. Or it could be like, I think Evan, kind of what Evan was saying, like one of the big reasons Simon liked MVP or even Eagle is because, you know, it's a switch. Sometimes he's been with Prodigy forever, it seems like. So sometimes that switch just turns a different gear in your brain to really want to practice and have just new fire and passion for disc golf. So I don't know.
It's true. But and I'm totally making up numbers so everybody's clear. If they're writing you whatever the monthly amount is for $100,000 annual salary.
Yeah, I don't.
It's a pretty big deal to like walk away from that.
That's why I speculate, because it's tough to say. It's like it hasn't come out at all, and I'm sure you could like. I think a Prodigy exec knows. Maybe people around Kevin knows, and I'm sure Innova knows.
So it can be like it can be amicable. At the same time, Prodigy may be like, we're just not getting the return, or like because I don't know if Kevin's contract ended, and if he's going to get tens of thousands of dollars more for them, why the heck would you walk away from that early?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. The only person to do that would be Prodigy, to say, we're not getting what we want and we need negotiation leverage. And then Kevin may be like, well, I'm not up for that. We might as well part ways. Right?
Yeah, I think that's an astute observation. And
there could be stuff in the contract that says if you're like...
Yeah, it must be because of what's in the contract. Because parting ways mid-season...
I know,
because
but the contract could say
if
you perform below a certain standard, we can negotiate mid-season. Like it could be stuff like that, and he's like, I'm out. Yeah. And by the way, literally nothing is leaked, which means I'm rambling with like random ideas. Yeah. But the point is it's interesting, like what could be happening.
Hey, if the truth's not out there, the only thing that's going to fill the space is speculation or lies.
Yeah, and it's not right. But in this case, to be clear, in my opinion, we're doing good analysis because like it's not even rumors. I don't know what the heck, but like it's these. If you look at it from a business standpoint, both from Kevin's side and Prodigy's side, Prodigy would be the one who'd be like, he's not fulfilling the contract. And so whatever, there's either an out or a leverage or a downgrade in payment or tier. There could be like so many variables. And then Kevin may also have an opt out at that point and be like, yeah, I'm out. And so that's why it can be amicable, because it was agreed to in a contract, right? So they can just walk away and be done with it and shake hands and say, great, we fulfilled the contract. Doesn't mean people are thrilled. But if you're in that situation, Kevin may be like, yeah, I mean, hey, what am I going to say? I'm underperforming. So like he's not going to argue. And Prodigy may be like, that's right. Sure. So then they walk away with the situation that sucks, but they're both like, it is what it is, which is why there may not be a bunch of rumbles.
We've reached out to Kevin to try to get him on too. We aren't just like, hey, let's talk about this. We tried to get him on, no response. Now, to be fair, we don't know if he's getting our messages or not. We're not getting a no. So maybe we need to find a different avenue. But either way, that it's interesting. It was something to talk about.
Well, we hope the best, meaning like that's a simple statement to stay, but like, you know, with Innova, play well and see what happens. Negotiate with Innova and negotiate with anybody else. Maybe like you said, Evan, some top 30 finishes, maybe some top 20, and really kind of see something change because it's fresh for him. And he's still got a great reputation, right? He's got a fine personal brand. I think that brand suffers when you don't see his name on the leaderboard for a long time. But like he hasn't done anything to harm his reputation or brand. So I think he's in a fine spot.
Cool. Other topics. I will leave it up to you guys to lead us there because I don't have the notes in front of me.
Prodigy baskets, anyone? No, I
know some of us
wants to have a voice.
Yeah, some of us will. I think here's the conversation from there. I will pose the conversation. You guys can take it how you want, but I'll pose it this way. I think we're past the conversation of if we will ever standardize or if we should. I will just leave it at that. Going to. But I guess my question would be, how soon is this happening? And let's say like over under on 3 years, will there be some form of a standardized basket? I don't know. What do you think, Ben? Over under on 3 years?
Sorry, I did not mean to switch you.
Those watching, audio won't know this, and so sorry, but YouTube, like we've got the sliding cards in and out on the screen.
Yeah, I'm
Go
sorry.
back and watch us at 70 minutes.
Standardized. Here's my take. In a few years, I don't think there's, in my opinion, ever going to be a standardized basket unless the Pro Tour really forces it. But the whole thing is each sponsor, a huge part of it is their baskets. In my opinion, is like, Prodigy sponsored the event. They want the Prodigy baskets or we play.
But that's because it's an option right now. That's because it's an option.
I
for
understand,
them to do that. But like, if it gets taken away,
I think that if it gets taken away, I think they'll maybe just go to like maybe banning it. But I don't know.
Prodigy
I
would
think
be better off
it's a
if
big
they
way.
took it away. Let's just be clear about that. I'm not joking, right?
funny.
Like, look at this weekend. They are worse off by putting crappy baskets on the course. Their brand is worse off.
To be clear, one of their players said what you just said too. So
yeah, and like we all saw it with our own eyes, because we're not talking about the classic like argument of was that a spit out or not, right? Like it was a little left, it was high, it shouldn't have come out. We saw some that were fully caught in the basket. It was like bleh. Like it just said,
and Josh,
like,
they know it too. I honestly don't think like I was listening to I think it was Drew Gibson did an interview with Jeremy Rusko, and it was pretty cool. Go check it out. Drew Gibson has a great channel to do that.
Hey, go ahead.
I was gonna say he asked Rusko about the baskets. He's like, there was a time and place where you guys were getting called out left and right for horrible baskets, and Jeremy's kind of like, we knew that, we were working on things, like it takes some time, all this stuff. So like. Guaranteed Prodigy knows there's issues. Now they have to just decide what they want to do with it. So
right. And so it sounds like I don't hate Prodigy at all. Like that, but
I love Prodigy.
Right. I mean, but honestly, really, to me, it's not even like a brand or manufacturer like thing. It's like those particular model of baskets clearly aren't working.
But,
and I think the thing is we knew it before this weekend. That's kind of the thing that sucks.
Here's the thing. What happened to all the people saying, you gotta learn to, putt on the baskets? I was never in that camp personally, but like that's a huge argument that people are like, learn to putt.
Yeah. So this is what's interesting, Ben, because I'm in that camp.
Yeah.
And most of the baskets, that's exactly what it should be, but these are so bad. That's why I even verbalized it, like fully caught discs.
I think,
right?
we know
somehow
this.
Because of
it's tougher,
the weird chain configuration,
it's really
it literally
hard.
lifts the disc back out of it.
And I think it's just really hard. Like for me personally, when I put on Prodigy baskets, it's like if I put right side and not in the center, it's gonna, because the chain, just the layering is just really hard, and it just like doesn't like move the chains as much. It's just like hits and then like instantly.
Yeah, and the variety of putts we saw get spit out is why I'm probably so like kind of firm on that. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, like if you're going in and putting on Prodigy baskets, you need to think, how do I need, this is the camp I'm in that you were mentioning, Ben. You need to think, how should I adapt my putt so I get the most catches? So I think players probably understand that and know that, and then we still see, even with a perfectly adapted putt, just like it's kind of crazy and frustrating. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, Matt, was it several years ago? I was probably a guest on the Nick and Matt show. No, maybe we talked about it somewhere else on our other show. I don't know. I came out and said something like the Disc Golf Pro Tour should create their own baskets. And I think I was laughed off out of the chat room, which is perfectly fine.
Daniel from Texas.
Yeah, probably. But then the following week, there was actually a Pro Tour article, a public article saying Jeff Springs thinking about doing his own baskets.
No, it was Paige Pierce.
Oh, Paige Pierce mentioned that she
show.
mentioned that Jeff Spring was talked to her about it.
Yes. Okay. And then they wrote an article citing our show interview with Paige.
And then it's went really quiet, which I think suggests that there are more complex dynamics at play, meaning like these sponsors really do want their baskets. They really do want advertising. It's a weird spot for the Pro Tour to come in and make their own. At the same time, maybe it is a marketplace. So the fact that nothing has happened for all those years at all, we haven't heard another peep since that news story, I don't know, to me suggests like, I don't know, Matt, my whole feel from this past weekend is actually not to say whether I think they need to be standardized. My whole point from this past weekend is just like, don't use those particular model of baskets anymore. That's actually
that's Prodigy's main basket. That's the thing.
Yeah, so they need to reinvent it then.
Yeah.
All I want to say,
that's like their like creme de la creme basket. Like that's their disc catcher. That's their Chain Star Pro. You know, that's their.
In 40 years or whatever it is, like I don't believe that there will be like different baskets on tour, like as in like Innova, Prodigy. Like I know people are gonna be like, there's holes in everything, every argument, and this is why I didn't want to get into it fully. But like basketball, yeah, there's different brands, but all the basketball hoops are generally the same exact. The net, the size of the hoop, and I feel like maybe I'm wrong. In soccer, like all these things, and maybe they're not catching devices; they're just like targets to go through. But like, I just feel like there should not be a conversation about, oh, whose brand do we like better? Like, I just don't feel like it should be there. And so that's why I'm saying I think it could happen in the next 3 years. Maybe it's 5 years, but I think it's going to happen.
I think so. To go back to my original point, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I think it probably will happen. And or ultimate play DGPT could do. I don't know if it's smart per se, but you were talking about basketball. Just recently, didn't they switch over from like Spalding to Wilson? So now everything's Wilson. They could have a bid, like $1 million to be the official DGPT baskets of. I know that's a little more intricate because you have to change out all the baskets, but that could be a viable option where it's just like, everyone deals with it, so it doesn't matter.
Down the road, yeah. No, that's good. That's fair. And that's my point, is there's different brands for basketball hoops, but that's maybe to your point, you can have it to be sponsored.
Yeah, we could go on and on about it because it's weird comparisons, because there's plenty of other sports where there are dynamics that are different. Like go to bowling, go to other things, right? So it's like anyway, I actually think I mostly sit with where you're at, Matt. But I think that Pro Tour themselves or someone else could standardize it. I don't know. It's interesting.
Now that we can bring Evan back, no, okay. I like just throwing him out there. Like we put a gag order on him or something, but no, he's always a part and welcome to join in any conversation he wants. What else do we got in there? I know the Stanley Cup Finals right now, Game 7. We probably dropped,
which is insane. The reverse
sweep.
Oh my goodness!
My goodness, the stats on this, like the headline stats, are incredible. I mean, when was the last time the Canadian teams won the Stanley Cup Finals? Like the 80s, I think. I need to look that up. Canadians almost won it a few years back. They didn't. I mean, as Bruins territory, that's what we like to hear, I guess. But then first ever 3-0 comeback in the finals. That would be insane. I mean, also here in Boston, we know 2004 Red Sox did it in the kind of conference championship, although in baseball it's American League championship series, came back from 3-0 to the Yankees. So we like to hold that title. But that's exciting. I mean, I feel like we should get official picks then. I don't know which one I'm like. I don't want to hate on Canada, but it is a stat to like that they haven't won in so long for their sport. There's obviously way more American teams, but then also to see the 3-0 and Connor McDavid, you're never going to hear the end of it. But anyways, I think my official, I'm rooting for the Oilers to get it done, to get the massive comeback, and hey, Canada, get that dub in your sport.
So speaking of picks, and yes, that is cool. Not to just drop.
Well, I want to hear your hockey picks, and then we can get to pop.
I'm going with the Panthers just because I don't know. I think it'd be cool. They're like, it's so funny. Like their worth compared to the Bruins is like millions wise, not like I don't know whatever the value of the entire brand is like nothing compared to Bruins. So, and I think nothing really compared to a lot of NHL teams. So it'd kind of be cool for them to pull it off. So I'd go with them because they're definitely a kind of a more obscure team, I'd say.
The underdogs.
Yeah. So I think
I just go for the excitement of the reverse, as Ben said, reverse sweep 4 in a row would be epic to win that. I'm rooting for the story.
I mean, yeah, that's an exciting story, of course. Not if you're a fan of the other team. Like, I don't think we've been on since the Celtics won. Last they kicked off, Ben and Nick had a shortened show, right? What, like an hour and 8-minute show, Ben? I was like,
yeah, it was shortened because we had to go see the the Celtics play.
But they obviously almost had a complete sweep, did not. But like, I can't even imagine going up 3-0 and then feeling like you might lose the whole series. Yeah, so it's just a crazy story.
Yeah, it looks like their team value is $775 million, which according to Forbes, I might be reading this wrong, but is the 29th team.
That sounds right. Let me guess the 30th. Sorry, Scott. I'm going to guess the Winnipeg Jets.
I'd guess the Coyotes.
Oh shoot! You're probably
now the Utah, whatever Team Utah hockey.
Yeah, Team Utah. Do you have it up, Ben? I'm really curious.
Yeah. So how about Ricky Wysocki? Oh no, sorry.
Columbus Blue Jackets, apparently.
Really?
That's random.
I guess. Yeah. All right.
All right, Ben, hit the button for our pop picks for this week coming.
Yep.
And it's rating based because we're back in Europe at the Swedish Open. Ben, tell us about the sponsor for this segment.
The sponsor for this segment is Hooligan Discs. They're an incredible company. They sponsor me. They sponsor the show. They're coming out with the new Cash very soon, and their first run is going to be something special and a very special plastic. I've been personally throwing the Cash as my main approach putter. I was throwing it all over the tournament last weekend.
Are we not allowed to say that it's glow plastic? Oops. I don't know. I saw something.
I don't know, dude. We might get a lawyer call soon. No, but
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's going to be something.
Beautiful.
And the stamp is beautiful. I've already seen it. But yeah, the Cash, you guys, once it comes out, you guys check it out. Shout out to Hooligan Disc for presenting this segment. And yeah.
And I have sent out emails to all the winners each week, and then I send it off to Hooligan, and then I usually get tracking information and really, really efficient, awesome system. I think midstream here, I saw an email come in that said something about like 3 weeks ago, and that's like pretty much all I saw. So I'm guessing you didn't get it. I will follow up to any winner who has not received it. Thank you for reaching out. We do take care of it. So definitely reach out if you didn't get the gift. It's something that we prioritize here. So, all right. This is rating-based Swedish Open. Ben, what have you learned?
You wanted to hear my new strat? I'll tell you my new strat
with the rating system.
Yes. So I got royally messed up. I got -32. I think because I didn't realize the strat, because I have a good strategy with my placement one. I didn't realize the strategy so I was picking like kind of highly rated players, hoping they'd like pop off, but they just didn't. So now I'm picking the lowest rated players to pop and the highest rated players to drop. I'm hedging my bets. I'm covering all my bases.
I see the strategy, but I don't know how that's that different than like the average placement.
Well, because
like you should just do the same thing.
It's so hard because we're going to Europe, so there's a lot of random names we don't really know. So you're kind of just picking out a hat, like, oh, this 10-11 player played once. Like the guy I picked.
They're not random if you do research, Ben.
No, the guy I picked, Rapsis Sadakuripi, he was like on chase or lead card at European Open last year.
Yeah, he did awesome.
And that's why I picked him. And I love his form, and that's why I picked him. And then he shot like 980. And
well, yeah, that's what Pop is. He popped off at the European Open, and then unfortunately.
But that's what I'm saying. So it was kind of like. So now instead of, I don't even care about the player. I just care about the rating. That I'm just picking like based off. I did my research, obviously. Like my Pop MPO player, I had to make sure like she's been averaging decently.
Wait, go ahead. Can you pull your picks up? Just hit your picks. Tell us your picks.
Okay, sounds good.
There they are.
So Pop, Eli Swanson, 1,002 rated. He just finished 7th. He was on like leader chase in the Turku, so I believe he's gonna do well. For my Pop and FPO, like I said, Julia Ford, she's like 875 rated. Just got like a 16-point rating update recently, and has been averaging like 940s in the past few events. So that's what I'm hoping for. I haven't seen her game. It's just purely just analytics. I'm dropping Nicolas Santia. Why? He's the highest rated player playing in this event. Dropping Evelina Salonen. Why? She's the highest rating player playing this event. And I'm locking James Proctor and my girl Henna Blomroos because I just won my $20. Yes.
What happens when those players like Antilla? He's actually going to average probably above his
like
rating.
1075.
Yeah.
Evelina's going to pop
but
off.
That's what's crazy. This rating way, you can get like you can get like 200 points if you play it right. So this is big. I didn't realize how big the rating weeks are. They're huge. I lost 32 points. You gained like 60 points on me from rating day because I went off.
I don't know, Josh, how you did it from remote on your phone to see the picks, but go ahead and pull mine up. I need to magnify.
Oh, remember I told you it was so small?
All right, go ahead. My picks.
I can read them.
And these are players I don't even know, so I can't read it.
It was the same
I can
for me.
simply tell you.
It was the Turku week.
I can simply tell you I picked James Proctor to lock and Evelina Salonen to lock. I can tell you that.
And you picked Eagle McMahon to drop.
Oh, that's a big one. And I'm a little surprised that I did that, but he's just been demonstrating he's not playing above average regularly. And I don't know that he's going to be ready immediately over in Europe, although he usually performs well. It's a roll of the dice. And that's all. You can read the other names, but
would he have even been available to pick in our regular pick rules, or is it just because it's
he should?
He is now.
Right?
He has 3 events. Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, anyway, good. We don't need to read all your other names. We can see them.
No.
All right. Who's next?
Whoever you want. Josh. I don't know if Nick got his in from
Mr. Producer.
All right, Ben, put up some names.
Sorry, I was waiting on your call. I was reading. Evan's
I don't know, like
text.
whoever.
All right,
Evan, you're up.
Evan.
All right. I am. Wait, that's not right. My drops are Matt's drops.
Well,
I
should
thought
be
I
Matt's
changed
pops.
We probably have it coded. You're locked in. No.
Yeah, because I definitely do not want Eagle McMahon and Rachel Turton as my drops, preferably. But I'm going for my pops. I'm going. I don't even know if up and comer is the right term for Canute anymore. He's been pretty established, but Canute Vallenhallen and Ida Emile Nesse. I believe they're both Norwegians. So shout out Norway, rooting for you guys over in Sweden. But I went the opposite approach of Ben this week and 2 weeks ago. I'm going right in the middle. I'm going for players who I recognized, who I know can play better than the rating, but then again, just like 2 weeks ago, I know that they could play worse than the rating. That's how ratings work. They're your average rating, or I mean, with a little extra formula to it. But it's essentially your average play. And both those players can pop off. We saw Ida Emile Nesse play really well at PCS Open last year. I believe she's just a teenager. So to me, that tells me always getting better. And then Canute, great game. Hoping for the best. And then locks, I'm going as lock as you can get. I want Calvin Heimberg. Picking a winner is hard, but this is absolutely a great event for Calvin to win. But Calvin Heimberg's getting a top 10. Like in a top 5 almost feels absolute. So I feel like there's no better time to solidify a Calvin Heimberg pick. I feel like I still am well under my 5 picks for Calvin Heimberg. I barely picked him. Maybe this is number 3 at most for me. But then Evelina Salonen is my FPL lock, who I might be approaching 5 times for. So I got to watch out, Josh. You got to let me know if I'm picking her too many times.
Did you pick her last week? It's not.
Last European event.
All right.
Toroku.
Yeah. I think you've only picked her twice. So this would be 3.
Wow. Okay. Well, go me. So absolutely sticking with Evelina because she's got to be the favorite. There's lots of other good picks. I mean, Hannah Blomberg is a good pick. I mean, Ella Hansen's heading over. There are good picks, but Evelina's my favorite. My favorite.
And then and Josh is up, and then I don't think Nick submitted his. So
he probably didn't.
Well, he's got to submit them for real before the tournament. Got to get him to do that. Walking around Scotland. All right. Yessi Nieminen to pop, Lori to drop, and Evan, I've got the same locks as you on both. Calvin Heimberg, Evelina. I mean, I don't know, just like how do you pick against them? It's just a matter of what week you think they're going to do it. And then to pop, Silva Saarinen, who's been playing great, and she has a decently high rating, so how much pop room? But I just think
it's over. Josh, it's over, Josh. I'm sorry.
Well, we will see.
No, I'm just kidding.
And then the same thing for my drop, somebody who does not have an incredibly high rating. So it's funny, I'm not following Ben's pattern. I just looking at it and saying, I think maybe she'll just happen to underperform her rating.
Great insight, Josh. But I love your locks. They're great picks.
All right.
Yep. So that's them. I agree. The rating system feels different, but the principle of how you play is the same. It's just a little different feeling to it and how you analyze it.
It means a lot more. These obscure rating ones mean a lot more.
I don't know.
It's kind of like the opposite.
I agree that it means more though, because not many players are playing 50 points above their rating, Ben. Like it's not often.
But I'm saying you can have 3 players. Like it's easy to average 30 points above your rating pretty easily, as opposed to like.
It's
finishing
kind of like
30 points above your average finish. I think it's super. Yeah, because I averaged 950 at Brewster Ridge, and I'm 925 rated, and I felt like I just played mediocre golf, and it wasn't easy.
Florida scored a goal. Anyway.
Or it was easy. No, I don't even know what I'm saying.
I don't know. I don't feel like 25 average placement points is crazy to get either. I mean, Mason Marchbanks was one of the top ones with 40 something.
I'm just saying, I think it's a lot more swing. There's a lot more. It's a lot bigger swing.
Yeah,
there's a way more.
Maybe
the risk
I think it's more of
different.
the drop is riskier. As in, you can easily play 20 points worse in your rating, but it's rare for someone who's averaging 15th to finish 35th. Like that's one of the worst finishes of the year. You know. I mean, maybe someone averaging 50th could finish 70th.
Now we're
that out, but
now we're analyzing our game. How far is this podcast?
It's like the risk. It's like the risk of in finance. Like when you sell short, it's like in theory, like your losses are unlimited because it can always go in the other direction. So, because that's the thing about ratings. There's actually no official. There's no official
golf
cap.
Golf too, right? Like like on a par 3, I only can get an ace as my best score.
Right, but
I can get a quadruple, centuple, quintuple, fiftuple bogey.
And that's what I'm saying. In this case, in theory, right, Evan? I'm saying in theory, there's almost an infinite limit to how high your rating could go. Well, that's not quite true.
No.
That's why I said
mean,
it's almost.
Yes and no. I mean, theoretically, if you had a field of 100 people and they all scored 18,000 as their score for the round, and you scored 18
now we're talking math
because you aced every hole.
I'm sure Ben's got the calc on lockdown. We'll see who wins this week, and let's make sure Nick gets his picks in officially.
I'm gonna get it. this week. I gotta. Shout out Hooligan Discs. Go by there.
Shout out to Hooligan. Yeah.
Thank you, Hooligan. You're the best.
So I know there's the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Florida scored
I don't want to pull.
so
I don't want to pull a Ben and a Nick and cut it short, but I also don't want to drag it on.
Spoiler.
What other topics did we have on there? If any
Evan
that are worth
had
talking
event
about?
rapid fire recap.
I do have that rapid fire recap, but that's rapid fire. We can do that in a bit.
Okay.
But I did want to. I mean, this is not a super long topic, but I did want to talk it out. See what you guys felt. But hole 17 of the preserve.
Yes.
I heard some commentary, but not what was happening on the Disco network. Just commentary from chatter from online message boards or wherever. I don't even know. I can't even name it. But people were like, "Hey, hole 17 seems soft. It seemed too easy. It seemed something like at my local tournament you'd have." That's what people were saying. I mean, the numbers did say it was an easy hole. I mean, preserve is known as an easier course. And NPO, so far this year, it was the second easiest event by average score, birdie rate, such. Only Waco was easier. And FPO, it was about middle of the pack, but like easier side of middle of the pack. But hole 17, I mean, you got trees on the left and the right, but it's a pretty fair gap and just like an elevated basket. I can find the distance here in a second, but it's not too far. And people were kind of, I'm going to say, talking bad about it. 243 feet. So, I mean, think about any of our games. A 243-foot hole isn't something we can't reach, even with an elevated basket. But then final round, we saw a handful of players in it. We saw Kyle Klein trying to go for an approach forehand, and he just kind of left it. Almost looks like he was too low and was going in the ground, but also hit a tree on the left, kicks out OB. And then Isaac Robinson also just pulled this shot. I don't know if he hit trees, maybe he kicked off of it. He ended up being okay and could lay up for his par, but still, like, it's a must-get birdie, especially when you're going for the win. So what I want to kind of leave as the discussion topic and leave for you guys is kind of your assessment on the hole. I kind of gave a thorough assessment. But did you think it was too easy? Did you like that? Do you like a hole 17, a hole towards the end, being kind of a must-get birdie, and then just your general feelings on it? Matt, let's start with you.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is probably just speaking without even looking into the details of what I'm about to say, but I feel like most courses have a hole in this similar like category. So if I was to go like 17 at USDGC, and it doesn't have to be hole 17, and we go, that's a short hole, but it's an island. So this hole is being talked about is tree line fairway, like straight, kind of like Blue Ribbon Pine style, except a little wider and definitely shorter. I guess where I'm going with this is I think I would like to see it increase in distance a little bit. I don't know if it's because I think it's too easy. I just want to see it maybe play a little bit harder, just personally. So maybe if they pulled the tee pad back, and I don't know the layout, I've never been there in person. Keep the same style, maybe go to like 290. I don't know. To your point, though, it played out differently how you might than you'd expected in the last round. So, but I don't know if that would happen 9 out of 10 times if the lead card does that on hole 17. I don't know. Anyways, I said a lot of different things there, but that's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
I don't know if I have like a whole lot to add. I mean, I think, the way you even teed it up, Evan, like I'm good with. I mean, it's not always only a math exercise. I think as you talked about, it's really understanding the moment of where it is on the course. So hole 17 is unique because it's the next to last hole before the tournament's going to wrap. But if you only look at the numbers, right, it's not even the easiest, at least by average, right, plus or minus. Like there's holes that are easier. Hole 18 with the eagles coming into play, which again, great, an eagle, right? That's a stretch. But so I'm totally fine with it. Don't have a whole lot to add. It added for some excitement, and I'm also fine with every once in a while to have an easier hole that's not easy when the pressure's on.
Ben, do you have any additions?
Yeah, just my addition is, like you said, it's in theory an easy hole, but it messed people up toward the end. I think, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's okay. I think even having a hard hole or an easy hole like before, I think the last hole should always be a kind of tricky hole in my opinion. So if it was 17, 16 easy hole, it's not that big of a deal for me.
Okay, I have one last take on this. It's that there should be a tournament of like where all the holes are in this range, like that par 3 we keep talking about. I just think that would be super epic. I don't know how it would actually play out. It would maybe be a birdie fest all the way to the end. Who cares what the scores look like? So there you go. I'd like to see something like that.
Interesting. Well, you guys didn't all have to agree with each other so much as you did. I was looking for some staggered stances here, but that's okay. I wanted to add a few extra points to this because some interesting things I've noticed just looking at scores, just as simple as that. One, the hole 18 actually played easier than hole 17. Hole 18 was the par 5, very eagleable as it's known. That's a funky word to say. But for players in the top, I'm going to do the top 11 in MPO, who I am cherry picking and pushing it to 11. I would have done top 10, but there were 4 players who did not birdie hole 17 in the final round. Kyle Klein bogeyed it, and the rest parted. Isaac Robinson, Garrett Gerthy, and Robert Burridge. 3 of those 4 players eagled hole 18. Kyle Klein, Garrett Gerthy, and Robert Burridge. Isaac Robinson was the only one who did not eagle it.
What the?
Is Ben trying to throw the game on?
There's no way you guys just heard that.
We're monetized. We're getting shut down.
Is that just in our ears? Did the chat? Did you guys hear what was just going on? Ben's trying to pull up the hockey game.
I pulled up the hockey. I've been caught. I pulled up the hockey game. I was going to mute it. I didn't realize it was going to be playing. But yes, I have the hockey game up. Just subdued in my eye, just in my peripheral. Because there's only 2 already 1-1. Like what the?
That's exciting. Yeah.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Okay.
What else?
But anyways, my point being is just if you did not birdie it, you then really went for the eagle in the next hole. Of those top 11 players, there's only 1 player who got the eagle on hole 18 and birdied hole 17 in the final round, and that was Gannon Burr. You had all these players birdie hole 17, but then they just birdied or parred hole 8. Actually, everyone but Isaac Robinson birdied or eagled hole 18. So what it tells me is if you don't get hole 17, the pressure is on. You feel like you need to do more on hole 18, and now you're going for an eagle, which is exciting and fun. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, that's good. There's so many storylines coming out at this point now. I'm trying to think when I was watching the final round of Preserve, I know we've already talked through the recap, but just kind of bringing it back to full circle here. Seeing the players that were on the lead card, Kyle Klein, Wysocki, Gannon Burr, and then like seeing Anthony Burrell in the top 10. Calvin didn't play, but like that event to me was like the cream of the crop was at the top. It was really an event that stood out to me in that way, where we often see players pop off or players that are playing dominant be at that top. But like to see this handful of players I think the course kind of lends itself to that. We've talked about it so many different times, and that's kind of Kale's vision. We've seen this course do that almost every single time. I compressed the scores a bit, and I think it's fun to watch. So that was a fantastic event. We've got a lot more coming up. Storylines are continuing to shape up. In fact, it'll be so exciting again when Kristen Tatar is back on tour, because you guys might be surprised, but I told you, it's absence makes the heart grow fonder. I'm like, come on back. Like, we want to see, we have this storyline building with all these other FPO players. You just come back and win. Is it a struggle? Like, I love the storyline. So anyways,
I think someone we didn't mention that I think needs a mention is Eliezer. I mean, I know it's 13th, but I think a lot of us, or some of us here, thought, she wasn't really going, just because she threw far, she wasn't going to be ready for the tour per se, but she finished 15th at Champions Cup, 9th Dynamic Dis Open, and then now 13th here. So obviously it's not like incredible, but she's not like top 5 in leading, but still to be that young and kind of have that composure and cashing pretty consistently, I think it's pretty exciting to see. And I think she's going to be the next superstar in the future. Give it 5 years.
Stamp of approval.
Yep.
Yes.
Anything we're missing before we wrap it up? Maybe we can get it done a little bit early here.
2 weeks in a row. Less than 2 hours.
People don't need 2 hours. How many people listen this far? Comment below.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We have a lot of people.
Well, here's the thing. The reason this is short, because normally we have like 2-3 interviews. That takes up a lot. When we only have one. Last week we only had one. This week we only had one. So
Ricky turned us down. Kevin Jones didn't get back.
Kind of had 2 last week, but also you got the winner on before the event. That was interesting.
Right? Yeah. You had Missy on.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Well, yeah, it was a joint interview, but yeah. So
it's been good. It's been good. We got our picks in. We talked a lot of topics. We hope you guys appreciated it. Unless there's anything I'm missing, guys, I think we've kind of made it to the end.
I think we have.
Cool. Ben, hit the closeout music.
Are we not?
Oh yeah, Evan wants to give us a rapid fire.
Oh yeah, give us
listen to
it. Oh my goodness, Ben can give me the countdown music to put the pressure on to
give the music, Ben.
Okay. But not to say it needs to be speedy, because it was still an exciting event. But the All Open out in Sweden, I think James Proctor and Eric Oakley were calling this maybe the best course in the world. That is up for debate, certainly. But Daniel Davidson and Silva Saarinen come out with the victories. Daniel Davidson gets his first victory from any PDGA event in over 2 years. He won the Copenhagen Open in 2022 and now wins this event. As of now, it's his best event rating. So as ratings will process second Tuesday of every month, we'll see if it holds. But congrats to him. Silva Saarinen gets her 4th straight victory. 3 of those are Disc Golf Pro Tour Silver events, and the other one being a Disc Golf Pro Tour event itself. She's looking to make it 5 at the Swedish Open. That'll be interesting if it happens. James Proctor and Eric Oakley were notable Americans in the field, finishing 3rd and 6th. But then also want to swing over to a few other A and even a B tier event that are super exciting. The San Francisco Safari. I can't really say favorites, but this is one of my favorite maybe off-tour events at Golden Gate Park out in San Francisco. And Andrew Miranda and Violet Main both win, both up-and-coming players who we've seen on tour, but also sticking around locally. So congrats to them, and an awesome course in San Francisco. Then also, Ben, you mentioned the Brewster Ridge Open. You were playing in that, so really cool to see that. And we saw Elijah Ryder Brandt and Jenna Gosselin win an MPO and FPO. Both of them, it's their first ever PDGA A-tier victory. So that is incredible to see of any division. And then here they are getting in the Open divisions. So congrats to them. Also, Steve Brinster getting a victory in MP40. That's super cool to see. Brinster still playing events and doing well there. Ben, you were playing an MA1, but I'm not going to announce you as the winner. But shout out to Dan Cornelier, who's a local to my area, getting the win in MA1. And then lastly, I want to shout out one more event over in Germany. They're hosting the Euros right now, but they're also hosting the 36th Berlin Open. The 36th, that's incredible to have that many events consecutively. This is always a cool event. It was an EPTX event last year. This year, it is a B tier, but I'm sure it's worth a lot to a lot of people out there. Lucas Schar of Switzerland wins, and Antonia Faber, who had a PDGA Euro Tour victory, I think back in 2014 in Germany. And now she's getting this Berlin Open. I think that's her 5-time champion at the Berlin Open for her. And Lucas Schar goes back to back with wins at the Berlin Open. So shout out Germany. You guys are doing a great job hosting the Euros, and I'm sure a great job hosting the Berlin Open. That's it from me.
Whoa,
I outlasted the music. My bad.
All good. Shout out to 978. Thank you for sponsoring and being the episode presenting sponsor. And Ben or Nick, if you're listening by chance, have fun in Scotland.
I solemnly swear I'm up to no good.
Awesome. And then Ben, you're awesome. Josh, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Until next week, everybody, we'll catch up and we'll see you here. Peace out.